Chapter 13. We had so much extra food on Sunday that my aunt invited her church group over for a lunch buffet. Church ladies, I'd discovered, could always be counted on for two things: damning sinners and accepting free food. Our house was packed with disciples of the Savior who had appetites the size of sumo wrestlers. They ate everything in sight, making a ton of crumbs, spilling salsa, and leaving half-empty soda cups everywhere as they did it. Plus, every time someone took a tamale, Tia Luna told them not to expect much because they'd been made by a girl with manos poseídas por el diablo, hands possessed by the devil. The women would stare at me, frown, then munch away like porky pigs in a barn anyway. When my drunkle woke up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and stumbled into the living room, he found himself surrounded by a bunch of Jesus ladies wearing big hats, his butthole burning like lava rocks. I'm sure he thought he had died and gone to hell. At least he sure looked like he had. But Tia Luna looked happy. Maybe my drunkle's 40th birthday party had been a bust, but the church brunch tamale buffet was a grand slam success. Praise Jesus. Those ladies ate and yapped and crossed themselves until almost 9 o'clock that night. By the time they left, our house looked as if a hurricane had blown through. Of course, I was the one who had to clean it up. I missed a 4th day of school. That afternoon, I had a surprise visitor. "Yo, girl, I thought you evaporated off the planet." It was TA. "No, I just have some stuff to do around here," I responded, happy to see her. I took her into the living room. "My uncle's back," I told her in a soft voice. "Again?" she said. "Uh-huh." Even though he had actually been back for a while, I somehow hadn't gotten around to informing T about it yet. "Why doesn't your dad give him the boot?" TA asked. "He's my mom's brother." She rolled her eyes. "What can I say?" I added. "He's family." "So?" she said. "Tú no entiendes a la familia," I answered. "We do things differently. In mi cultura, we always put family first. Always. It's what makes us strong. We support one another. We sacrifice for one another. We do what we can to be there for one another, even for those who are struggling. No, my people may not have a lot of money, but we do have values. More than lots of other kinds of Americans do, at least. Though I wouldn't dare mention that to TA. That could set off a nuclear war. "What about doing for you?" she asked me. "We do for each other," I answered. "How's that fair?" "I told you, T, it's family." Suddenly, my drunkle stumbled in. He rubbed his hands through his greasy hair, then looked at TA, as if she were nothing more than a cockroach. "Oye, Sonia, ¿qué pasa?" he asked. "Nada," I answered. "Todo está bien, tío." My drunkle paused, scratched his chin, turned, and wandered into the bathroom. A moment later, we heard a loud fart. "That just ain't right," TA said, shaking her head in disapproval. "You gotta represent for yourself, girl." "You just don't get it, T. You just don't get it." Though we went to the same school, took the same classes, drank from the same bottles of Diet Pepsi, and shared the same French fries, there were a million miles separating me and T. Funny how just a little bit of darker skin pigmentation can change so much between two people. "You know what, Sonia?" TA said, getting ready to rip into me. I looked up. "What?" I thought. There was a pause. "Oh, I'm just going to bounce," she said, stopping herself mid-sentence. Before she spoke some words I'm sure we both would have regretted. TA bent down and grabbed her backpack. "But you just got here," I said, not wanting her to leave. "Yeah, I should go. I only stopped to bring you some schoolwork so you wouldn't get left too far behind." She reached into her bag and tossed some papers on the table. I glanced at them, then laughed. "What?" she snapped. "You screwing up in school ain't funny, Sonia. It ain't funny at all." Wow, was she mad? But TA didn't understand. I wasn't laughing at the schoolwork. I was laughing at the fact that I had already done it. All of it. And more. Over the past few nights, I had already guessed where my teachers would be going in class and worked ahead so that I could keep on my grades. I already did it, I said, looking at the papers. Yeah, tomorrow's too. TA paused while she pieced it all together. What a dork, she finally said with a grin. Want to share some papas? I asked. I'm kind of hungry. Absolutely, TA said, putting her backpack down. A minute later, we were in the kitchen where I cooked up some sliced potatoes, nice and crispy, with salt and ketchup. I even had a Diet Pepsi in the fridge we were able to share. For the next 15 minutes, we laughed and ate and just did a whole lot of talking about a whole lot of nothing, exactly like we would have done at school. It felt good. Then my drunkle walked in, drawn like a wild animal by the smell of food. Sonia, he said, sniffing the air. Tengo hambre. ¿Qué tenemos? I looked at TA and lowered my eyes. Break time was over. Puedo hacer huevos y papas con salsa ranchera si tú quieres, tío, I said softly, offering to cook him up a Mexican omelet. He paused to think about whether it was good enough. Está bien, he answered. Pero apúrate. Tengo hambre, he added, telling me to hurry up. Then he exited the kitchen, expecting me to call him when his food was ready. TA picked up her things and prepared to leave, but I wanted her to stay. There was so much more to tell her about Geraldo, about Tia Luna, the things that had been going on with my drunkle. Good to see you, TA said as she headed for the door, and get back to school. I paused before answering. Inside my head, a voice screamed, please don't go. Don't go. I will, I answered as I forced a smile. TA reached for the door handle. Don't go, the voice screamed again. Please, TA, don't go. Thanks for stopping by, I added. We hugged. I felt my stomach gurgle. TA left. Sonia, called a voice from the other room. ¿Qué pasa? Te dije que tengo hambre. I headed to the kitchen, took some eggs out of the refrigerator, and decided that no matter what, I was going to go to school the next day. I didn't care what anyone said. We could throw a party for Jesus himself. I was not making any more tamales. And if Jesus did come, he'd better bring some apostles to clean up the mess, because I was through. I was completely and totally through. Excuse me. Chapter 14. I returned to school the next day, expecting to get into a little bit of trouble for missing so much class, but hardly a teacher said squat to me about having been absent for 4 days in a row. They didn't ask where I'd been. They didn't ask for a note. They didn't ask for any assignments. I just turned them in on my own. It was as if no one even cared if I came to high school. I guess in their eyes, I was just another Mexicanita, here today, gone tomorrow, with many, many more to follow. Actually, one teacher did say something to me, my world history teacher, Mr. Warden. It was after I handed him the homework for the days I'd been out. Well, Ms. Rodriquez, he said in his intellectual voice, with such an atrocious attendance record, I would not have expected the shrewd decision to keep up with your studies the way you have. It's almost oxymoronic. He paused. Do you know what the word oxymoronic means, Ms. Rodriquez? I lowered my eyes. Just try coming to class more a bit. Just try coming to class a bit more frequently than you cruise the shopping malls, Ms. Rodriquez. In case you didn't know it, in this country, your education matters greatly. When school was over that day, I wasn't sure what had me feeling worse. The fact that no one seemed to care, or the thought that the one person at school who did care had made me feel like an ignorant wetback. Either way, I was bummed out and needed a pick-me-up. But unfortunately, Frijolito was gone. I stared in Santiago's front window for 5 minutes, watching a group of new kittens wrestle and play and body slam each other. The new cats were all cute and fluffy and happy. I hated them all. Maybe Frijolito had been moved somewhere else, I thought. I went inside. The bell on the door jingled as I entered. Hola, hola, said a parakeet when I walked in. Cállate, I said to the dumb bird as I closed the door behind me. This is America. Speak English. I looked around, but Frijolito wasn't nowhere. I hoped he had gone to a good home, one without a drunkle. The pet shop boy with the emerald green eyes, Geraldo, wasn't around either. But it had been a long time since I'd seen him, so who knew what could have happened? Maybe he'd found a new job. Maybe he'd found a new place to live. Maybe he'd found a new girl. Maybe it was a white girl. I hope she chokes on a grape, I thought as I turned to leave. White girls always ate grapes. You would like to hold him? Came a voice. I smiled. But I smiled on the inside because I didn't want the stupid, rude boy to see me. Frijolito, I said as I turned around and took the cat in my arms. Wow, my little bean had grown bigger and more cute, too. You thought he was sold, didn't you? No, I answered, not wanting to give Geraldo the satisfaction of being right. Oh, I know you did, he replied. But what kind of customer is going to buy a lopsided cat? He's not lopsided, I snapped back. He's just unique, that's all. I stroked Frijolito's fur. He purred. See, he's very unique. This is why I've been keeping him in the back, so no one else decides to buy this unique creature. In the back, all by himself, I said, concerned that little Frijolito was not getting proper care and attention. Relájate, answered Geraldo. He gets nothing but VIP treatment, special food, all the best toys, and lots of space to play. I smiled. Being that he's already in your heart, I am hoping maybe he'll show me the path. Geraldo's eyes twinkled. I felt my face go flush. I missed you, Sonia, he said. I missed you very much. Must you make me wait so long to see you? We cannot see each other, I said. Of course we can, and we will. Remember, it is written. I remember nothing. You remember Snickers bar and vegetable soup, I bet. Come, he said, and led me to the back of the store, past the sign that said employees only, and into the storage room. At first I didn't want to go, but of course I was curious about what he wanted to show me, so I followed behind. And then, on a table filled with rabbit food and fish tank water supplies, I saw a small, cleared-out space with an elegant dinner setting. There was a white plate, a cloth napkin, and a silver fork, spoon, and knife. And in the center of the plate was a brand new, not yet unwrapped Snickers bar, alongside a can of vegetable soup. Are you ready for our first date? Asked Geraldo as he lit a small candle he had set up next to the water glass. I didn't know what to say. Obviously, Geraldo had been planning this moment for a long time. Truly, I couldn't believe he had done all of this for me. I just stared. Your sadness has such beauty, Sonia, but you carry too much of it. Your heart needs to smile, he said. A corazón without laughter is a corazón that will not survive. Geraldo smiled and my heart melted, so much so that I almost began to cry inside the stupid pet store. Geraldo was the kindest, most thoughtful boy I had ever met. I looked deeply into his eyes and lost myself. I had never wanted to kiss a boy so badly in all my life. Frijolito purred. We can't, I said, suddenly breaking off my gaze. But we will, he answered. I must go, I said, turning for the door. Give me your phone number, he said. No. Yes. No. Here is a paper. Please write it down. He passed me the paper and a pen. I can't, I told him. Then I wrote down my phone number. Here, and take the cat before I rip my number up, I said, passing him Frijolito. Go ahead, he answered. Tear it up, if that's what you really want. I paused. Okay, I'll do it for you, he said. And then, sure enough, Geraldo tore the piece of paper with my phone number on it into 1,000 little pieces and tossed them into the air like confetti. I looked at him like he was crazy, completely not understanding why he had just done what he did. I memorized it the moment the pen touched the paper, he said with a smile. It is etched like stone into my brain. I lowered my eyes and left. I want to say that I wish I hadn't given him my number, but I was glad I did. And I want to say that I was hoping that he wouldn't call, but I was hoping he would. Geraldo didn't seem like other boys. He was so nice, so gentlemanlike, so confident and handsome. Maybe Geraldo really was different from other boys. Then again, didn't all other boys seem different from all other boys? I mean, that's probably what Constancy had thought about Ricky before she got pregnant at the age of 16. It was so obvious when I saw Constancy at school during lunch a few weeks later. The baggy clothes, the look of always being tired. I had never been really close with her the way I was with TA. After all, I never even called Constancy Seesaw like her other friends did. But when I saw her turn Kermit the Frog green at the sight of a simple French fry, I knew something had to be up. Besides, seeing a teenage girl trying to hide her pregnancy, well, it feels like I've grown up around that stuff my whole life. One afternoon, I decided to help. After all, helping others seemed to be one of the only things I was any good at. Besides, if I was in Constancy's situation, I'd certainly hope someone would help me. So on my way home from escuela, I purchased some ginger candy and saltine crackers. The real kind, not the fake ones. Then, when I got home, I put my things down on the dining room table to go into the kitchen. When I came back to the room, I found Tia Luna with her nose all up in my business. She held up the saltines. ¿Qué es eso? She asked. Nada, I answered. Fornicator, she shouted. It's not for me, I replied. Mentirosa, she lied back, calling me a liar. It's the work of El Diablo. She gave me a slow, evil eye and then headed into mi ama's bedroom. Let her believe what she wants, I thought as I packed the things back into a brown paper bag. I know the real truth. When I handed Constancy the bag the next day at school, she glared at TA with a laser beam look that could have burned a hole through a steel door. What? I didn't say nothing, TA said in her own defense. A minute later, after I explained to Constancy how she should stay away from spicy foods and how what I had given her would help with the nausea, she started crying on my shoulder. I have to admit, it was kind of weird to be hugging someone I didn't really feel that close to, but I hugged Constancy anyway and told her that it would be all right. That's when I realized my aunt was right. I was a mentirosa. I was a liar because, in my heart, I didn't think it was going to be all right. I didn't think it was going to be all right at all. Constancy had no job, no education, and no man in her life who would step up and help her raise this baby. For a 16-year-old minority girl with a bun in her oven, no, I didn't think it was going to be all right at all. But still, that's what I told her. Really, what else was I supposed to say? Shh, it'll be okay, I said as she wept on my shoulder. Shh. Yep, I thought, just another mess left by yet another Príncipe Charming from the hood. Que sorpresa. That night, Geraldo called 3 times. I didn't speak to him once. Instead, I did my homework and an extra credit assignment for world history class. Men are pigs.